first off, I want to welcome and thank everyone for coming and celebrating with us our annual Neighbors Helping Neighbors and Fifth Avenue Committee Bash. That's right. It's wonderful to be here with our partners, with our activists and tenant leaders, our allies, especially after the surprise results of last week's presidential election. Tonight's theme, Stand Up and Fight Back, took on even more meaningful meaning for me, and I think for many people in this room following the results for last week. Every day, Neighbors Helping Neighbors' incredible staff, Marcela, Aura, Stephanie, Robert, Lorraine, and Allie. That's right, incredible staff. Some of whom work in Sunset Park with tenants, and some of whom work with first-time home buyers and homeowners facing foreclosure. They work alongside, side by side, with homeowners and with local residents to help them stand up and fight for their rights and ensure equal access to housing opportunities. When NHM became an affiliate of the Fifth Avenue 5 years ago, and this is something that's very easy for me to remember because my daughter is 5, and so the affiliation and my daughter's age coincide. The organization faced many of the same challenges that small nonprofits did during the Great Recession. It faced the possibility that though it provided quality services that were in high demand, that it didn't have sufficient resources to continue its work, much less to have the impact that the organization desired and that the organization's board and staff knew that they could have. And many of the board members from 5 years ago, including Michael Wadman, are here today. That's right. Woo! And NHN is the only organization in Sunset Park, which, and I know many people know Sunset Park very, very well, which is a working class immigrant neighborhood with residents of very diverse backgrounds. It's the only organization based in Sunset Park that helps people with their housing problems. And so that means that gives you a sense of how vital the organization is to the neighborhood and to ensuring that the neighborhood remains affordable and accessible to many, many different families. And I'm happy to say that 5 years later, that the staffing at NHN has doubled and that more tenants and homeowners are being helped than ever. The staff is absolutely incredible. We are especially fortunate to have 2 talented and dedicated coordinators, in Marcela Matenas, who oversees the tenant organizing and advocacy, along with Aura and Stephanie, and Robert McCool, who oversees the housing counseling with Lorraine and Allie. These are incredible staff members. Please, a round of applause for our NHN staff members. I know many people here feel like they owe many, many thanks to those staff members, and I know I do. But we're here tonight to honor incredible tenant leaders and dedicated legal and affordable housing, affordable homeownership partners and advocates who have stood up and fought for dignity and access to opportunity, housing, and human rights. The grassroots leaders we are honoring tonight have been organizing their neighbors and standing up for their rights against abusive and neglectful landlords. Some of those tenant leaders have been doing that collectively. Others are solo courageous voices against abuses and neglect, which are all too common in our highly speculative real estate market here in New York City. We are honoring the Urban Justice Center and the Community Development Project, and in particular, its director, Harvey Epstein, who is an incredible strategist and has worked with FAC and NHN. That's right, absolutely, round of applause. On a number of fronts, and their staff attorney, Rina Fonseca Sabun, for her leadership, absolutely. And support for Sunset Park tenants fighting discrimination and harassment. Finally, in a high-cost global city where access to homeownership is elusive for millions, especially for working class and even middle-class families, we honor Capital One Community Mortgage and Community Development Banking Group for helping families become first-time home buyers. I recently joined Capital One's Community Advisory Board, and though I know many of their staff quite well, and am proud to say that Mary Del Priest is on the Fifth Avenue Committee Board of Directors, I've been very impressed by the depth of their commitment to supporting low and moderate income communities and the significance of the alignment between their corporate values and those in the nonprofit community development field. It's quite remarkable, honestly. I sometimes wonder if I'm in a for-profit or nonprofit setting when I listen to their staff speak. We have a short video that we want to show that highlights the incredible work of our tenant leaders, and then we will start the formal awards program. So thank you.
During the winter, in the corner of my bedroom, water leaks, and the landlord knows about that, but she doesn't want to do anything. In the radiator in the living room, and in my brother's bedroom, there's lead. This is where 311 tested the lead, and yeah, there was lead. And if there is a fire and we have to close a window, it's going to be hard because it's hard to close. I can't close it. I can't.
No más acoso! No más acoso! No más acoso! No más acoso!
We have a landlord here, Su Feng Dong, who has been silent to the request to stop the harassment targeting our Latino family members that live in this building.
Good morning, my name is Samantha Bravo. For a minute, imagine yourself in your home about to fall asleep when there is a knock at the door at 10 o'clock at night. You open the door and see a woman handing you a letter that states that you must leave your home in 3 weeks. What would you feel? Would you feel scared, sad, worried, or would you panic? When the landlord comes, I panic because I remember the day when she came storming in my home and screamed and cursed at my dad. I also remember my little brother Nathan run into our bedroom and cry, and my dad calling the police and asking the landlord to leave, who was still cursing at him.
You heard today from Samantha Bravo. You might have heard of her before. She's been in front of boards before defending not only her family, but multiple families that are across Sunset Park. If you listen to her words, you heard fear or by force, scared, panic. These are not things that our kids should be feeling at all anywhere. What we're trying to do is to elevate this issue right now with these families that are experiencing this discrimination in Sunset Park.
My name is Rini Fonseca Sabuni. I'm a staff attorney and Skadden Fellow at the Urban Justice Center. It is my privilege to represent these courageous tenants at 430 61st Street. They came here, neighbors helping neighbors came to us, and we couldn't believe what we were hearing about the conditions and about the treatment. But we came and we met with them, and they today are taking a stand, and they today are saying no more harassment. They have a right to live in peace and tranquility in their homes. They have a right to live without harassment each day. And they're here not just for themselves, but for their neighbors, for the community of Sunset Park, and for people like them all over New York City. Today, they say no more.
We are so proud to have strong community-based organizations like Neighbors Helping Neighbors, like the Urban Justice Center, and the lawyers who stand behind and assist the community who are united. So on behalf of Congresswoman Velasquez, we're going to keep up the fight.
No más acoso! 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 No más acoso!
I want to invite up Councilmember Carlos Menchaca, who is absolutely a partner in this fight and a leader in the New York City Council for immigrants and for his constituents in Sunset Park and Red Hook.
Thank you. Let's give Michelle a round of applause. for all the incredible work that she's doing, and Fifth Avenue Committee. Buenas noches, everyone. I'm New York City Council Member Carlos Menchaca, and I'm here before you to give a short greetings, but we want to get to these awards. This last week has caused a lot of pause in so many of our hopes and dreams, but I think that's all it's going to be. Just a pause for us to collect our ideas, to collect our vision, and move forward. And that video just reminded me of how important it is that we continue to do this work collectively, that we continue to support each other through these hard times. Because here's the deal. If the fear that we're experiencing today for the election results is not very different from the fears that we're experiencing on the ground right now when we think about gentrification, when we think about this unknown. And that means that we have to redouble our efforts to move forward. What I want to say before we bring up the tenants are going to be the first ones, is how important it is for young people like Samantha Bravo and her family to continue to speak out truth to power, so that other young people can come out and speak their truth. This is what we're trying to do on a larger basis across the entire neighborhood. And the final thing I want to say before we bring up the tenants is that any landlord that's out there, and when I talk to Aura and Marcela and all the staff, if you're out there and you're doing this kind of stuff, we're going to call you out, we're going to bring the press, and we're going to shame you for the things that you're doing in our community, and you're going to stop. And that's what you saw here tonight. So can I get all the tenants of 61st Street to come up here right now? I want you all to come. Quiero invitar todos los inquilinos que viven en la 61. Si se pueden, por favor, vamos a tomar un foto juntos. Les quiero decir también, es importante que todas las voces se oyen en estos tiempos donde tenemos miedo, porque la voz es una voz grande y con fuerza. Y estas son las voces de nuestra comunidad. Esas son las voces, el poder de la comunidad. Y no vamos a tener miedo. No vamos a tener miedo porque tenemos el poder de la comunidad. Y las voces tan joven como Samantha es muy importante para ellos. Over here. Okay. Who's going to accept this award? Okay, let's do it. Welcome Samantha Bravo, potentially the next council member, maybe the next president of the United States.
Okay. Hello, my name is Samantha Bravo. Okay. So first, I want to thank Neighbors Helping Neighbors and Fifth Avenue Committee and Urban Justice Center, because without them, we wouldn't have stood up for our rights, and we wouldn't have known that we have rights. So, and also our neighbors, because if we didn't realize that we are dealing with this landlord that's cruel with us, and we're living in inhumane ways, we wouldn't have, if we didn't know, then we wouldn't have been here. And what's pretty about this is that we all unite, and that in this time it doesn't matter the race, the color, the age. It doesn't matter, because what matters is that we fight back and that we stand up. So yeah. And we'll keep fighting back. Yeah. Le quiero agradecer a Neighbors Helping Neighbors y Fifth Avenue Committee y Urban Justice Center, porque nos enseñó que tenemos que pelear por nuestros derechos, y también a los vecinos, porque si nosotros no nos diéramos cuenta que estamos peleando que hay una dueña que es cruel, y que estamos viviendo en una casa inhumana, nosotros no hubiéramos estado aquí. Y lo que es bonito de esto es que todos nos estamos unidos y que no importa la raza, el color, edad, lo que importa es que estamos juntos y que vamos a luchar.
Thank you, Samantha. Ahora Marcela, get up here.
Lo que pasa es que todos nosotros somos tan bajitos.
Mi nombre es Rosario Díaz, vivo en el 430 de la 61 y le doy gracias a ustedes por el reconocimiento que nos hacen esta noche a nombre del grupo del 430 y a vecinos, ayudando a vecinos, porque sin ellos no hubiéramos salido adelante. También a Justicia Urbana por el apoyo que nos han dado a todos. Gracias.
Nunca vemos.
Solamente tienes que subir por 2 segundos. Mira para acá, mira para acá.
There you go. All right. Okay, there you go. Quédense aquí. Next, we want to bring up, because this is about building power, right? So let's keep the power up here, and let's bring the other powerful part of this whole equation, the Urban Justice Center. And you know how incredible they are tonight. Let's get Urban Justice Center up here. Stephanie y Sara, si pueden venir aquí también. Get up here. All right, let's hear from Harvey Epstein, someone that needs no introduction in our community to accept this award. There you go.
So thank you, Fifth Avenue Committee, Neighbors Helping Neighbors, for acknowledging our work together. But I just want to acknowledge you and talk about what it means to be in a community-based building, talking about leadership development. Samantha, amazing, thank you. And I just want to say, not only is Samantha amazing in this video, people know, but Samantha testified at the Rent Guidelines Board hearing and got us a rent freeze this year because of Samantha. So this is about how we change communities, how we talk about racism and sexism, and how we talk about homophobia, and how we change the structural problems in our society. And it starts in communities like here. It starts with groups like Fifth Avenue Committee, Neighbors Helping Neighbors. And we are just so privileged to be a part of your struggle and supporting your work. I just want to turn this over to Ileana and Rini, who really did the fundamental work here, who can talk about this work and our struggle.
Hello, good evening. My name is Ileana Garcia, and I had the privilege of working with these amazing tenants at 430 61st Street and at the Community Development Project at the Urban Justice Center. This is what we encourage, and this is the model that we work by, which is encouraging communities to just stand up and to always fight back, regardless of the struggle or how unsupported they might feel. That's the model that we use, and we hope that communities continue to fight back and that we can be a part of that as well.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rini Fonseca-Sabuni, and it is an honor to be here tonight and to have worked with the tenants at 430 61st Street. One of the tenants, Norma, said to me tonight, "Why are we here?" And I said, We're here for you. We are here because the tenants of 430 61st Street stood up and fought back in the face of harassment, in the face of intimidation. When Samantha and Nathan, who has run off, but when they felt fear from the way their landlord treated them, when some of the tenants, the elderly tenants, couldn't keep food in their fridges because it rotted, because the landlady would not make those repairs, they didn't back down. They weren't afraid. They stood up, they were courageous, and they fought back, and we are here today to honor them and to say thank you for your courage and for all that you did to improve not only your building, but your community. After the press conference that you saw Samantha speaking so eloquently at, other community members came up to us and said, what's going on? How can we work together with you all? How can we go to tenants, neighbors helping neighbors? So it's not about the one building, it's about the community, it's about preserving affordable housing in New York City. So I wanted to thank you and to thank Neighbors Helping Neighbors and Aura and Marcella. It's been amazing to work together and for all that you all have done to make this possible. So thank you all.
As you can see, it's an incredible thing. In this case, obviously, it was a building came together, and obviously with the help of the Urban Justice Center, who has been an incredible partner on so many levels for both Fifth Avenue Committee and Neighbors Helping Neighbors. But sometimes the fight is a little more lonely, and you need a spark to really show everyone else what's possible. And so we have other leaders tonight that are really those sparks within their buildings or within Sunset Park that we also want to call up and recognize for their leadership.
Thank you. And these, like Michelle said, these are leaders that doesn't necessarily wake up and say they wanted to be leaders, but like it was said before, they fought back. They stood up and they spoke. This is Margarita and Sara. These are two, let's give them a round of applause, absolutely. Two folks, and I know Margarita is, Sara is, come on up. Por favor. I'm going to hold one. Margarita, ¿se puede eso? No, está bien. Hable con su corazón. Thank you. So Sara's also going through some medical issues right now, so we're going to give her all our love and send her some white healing light. But I want Margarita to talk a little bit about what happened and how they reached out and how we came together and how we're still struggling today to fight for not only their rights, but all the building tenants here today. Please welcome Margarita.
Mi nombre es Margarita Luna y bueno, yo representando aquí también a Aura Mejía, que es de Vecinos Ayudando a Vecinos, y soy del área de Sunset Park. Yo he llevado 2 años luchando con mi propietario. Han habido...
Vamos a traducir si quieren. This is Margarita Luna. She's reached out to Neighbors Helping Neighbors and reached out to Aura Mejia, who's a staff member at NHN. She's in Sunset Park, and 2 years ago she reached out to the organization.
sido 2 años luchando fuerte con ese señor. No ha sido fácil. He sido sola. Últimamente se han unido a otros más, pero ha sido un builde que no ha sido fácil. También pagando por calefacción, agua caliente, mandando los papeles al Estado para que se aprobara y él, cuando venían los supervisores, decía que no, solo había una boila, todo tenía encerrado y yo no me daba por vencida, seguir luchando y hasta que por fin se logró, se descubrió y seguimos en lo mismo. No sé qué más decir.
So, she's been fighting alone in her building for nearly 2 years, although recently other people have joined the fight. The landlord hasn't been providing services in the building. They've been filing paperwork with the state for DHCR, I'm assuming, and to ensure that there's water, hot water, heat, and things están mejorando.
Sí.
Things are improving.
Yo creo que nada más. No sé qué más decir.
No. Así es. Esto es la lucha en proceso. This is the fight in process, guys.
Y llevo 2 años luchando también con él en la corte y hasta el día de hoy seguimos en corte y bueno, una historia muy larga que no acabaría.
Well, it's been 2 years and it's in court and it's a long story, but I think the most important thing is that, you know, when we see injustice, someone has to stand up. Someone has to stand up and say, this isn't right. And I think we know what happens when people don't stand up. It only takes one to stand up. And then others join, others see the injustice, and others join. And it's for that courage that we are recognizing Margarita tonight and Sara tonight, because even though right now, or they may seem alone, no está sola.
No, claro
Nosotros
que no.
estamos aquí para usted. We're here for you. Estamos aquí.
Gracias.
No. You go ahead. ¿En este lado? Este lado con la este lado, porque lo que pasa con... Thank you to Margarita, thank you to Carlos, and of course, thank you to the folks from UJC and from the building on 63rd Street. Round of applause, please, for those incredible, incredible tenant leaders. So the fight for housing justice happens on many fronts. It happens in the streets, it happens in apartments, it happens person to person. But quite honestly, it also happens in co-op boardrooms. It happens in corporations who decide that they want to take on and lend to this thing called co-ops, which, believe it or not, doesn't exist everywhere else in the country. We're kind of unique in that role. So I want to invite up Robert McCool, who oversees Neighbors Helping Neighbors housing counseling program for first-time home buyers and for folks who are facing foreclosure, to introduce our next presenter. And Robert, I think many people know, is an incredible resource and talented and dedicated staff member for the organization.
Michelle, thank you very much for the compliment. And
It's all true.
Sorry. Thank you. And thank you everyone for coming tonight. So far it's been an incredibly difficult act to follow, I think. But at Neighbors Helping Neighbors, we think that home ownership is another important way to create housing stability. So our first-time homebuyer program provides group training, one-on-one financial coaching, and access to grants and affordable mortgages. But as time goes on, I'm sure you know, it's getting harder and harder to help residents with low, moderate, or even middle income to achieve their dream of home ownership in this city. So we were very excited when we learned about the Penn South co-op development in Manhattan when one of our participants was pulled up from the waiting list. It was really exciting to see regular working people have the chance to buy nice, affordable apartments for $160,000 or even much less in the heart of Manhattan. So eventually we partnered. There was it exactly. It's a very nice apartment in a nice building. So we eventually partnered with Penn South, and we are now providing group training and financial coaching to the homebuyers on their waiting list. Thank you. So along the way, we also got to play a small role in introducing Penn South to the Capital One Community Mortgage Program. And through this partnership, it was great to meet and work with our award presenter tonight, Ms. Victoria Nastri, who is a Penn South homebuyer. Victoria works in the nonprofit world as well, doing fundraising for the USO, so I could relate to her immediately. When she told me how much she'd been paying for rent, I was shocked. So I know that the opportunity to use an affordable mortgage from Capital One to buy a Penn South apartment is an incredible opportunity to stabilize her finances and her housing. So I'd like to let Victoria tell you a little bit more about her experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Robert. I got the wonderful pleasure of meeting Robert through this program, Neighbors Helping Neighbors. Michelle, thank you. This has been just an amazing story, and I think that's what's amazing about New York. It's a city filled with so many stories, and it's also a city that inspires you to create your next story and your next chapter. And that's what I really found in my life when I had plan A, and it didn't work out, and plan B, I didn't really know, and this city inspired me to write plan B, and that's where I'm kind of how I ended up here today. I work at the USO. As Robert said, it's a nonprofit that supports active duty military and their families. We just celebrated Veterans Week, so if there are any active duty or veterans out there today, thank you for your service. We had the USS Iwo Jima in port. I don't know if you saw it on the west side, but we had about 1,500 sailors and Marines that were so excited to be here in New York City and experience it, many for the first time. And that's what I am so grateful to live and work in this city, because it's an amazing city. But I didn't think I was going to be able to stay here. And I have a friend that lives in Penn South, and I was like, oh, what is this Penn South? And nobody really knows about it in Manhattan. And it's this wonderful little community on the west side, and you could never get in. And one day the lottery opened, and it opened about 2 years ago. And I filled out a postcard, literally, and I got pulled. I literally think I pulled the golden ticket, the lucky unicorn, whatever it's called. It is Penn South. And I just put it on the back burner. I'm like, this is amazing. See you in 20 years, 30 years, and I'll call it my Golden Girls plan, because I just, had heard all these amazing stories that it would take a little while, 10, 20 years. It took 2 years for me, and which is outstanding to know that I could have this chance to be a homeowner in Manhattan. That was a dream. I never thought it could be attainable. But I wasn't sure I could actually do it once the paperwork actually happened and you got the letter. And I met with Penn South, and they were wonderful, and they shared the options that I had. And the Capital One Community Mortgage and Community Development Program was there, and I looked at the options, and I was just really impressed with what they had to offer. And it really made the math worked, and it allowed me to really consider this and go for it. And closing date's coming up, so we're all good so far, right, everybody? But I am just really excited and really grateful, and I am when Robert called me, I just thought, what a great way to say thank you, because this doesn't always happen for every New Yorker. And to be able to work in nonprofit and give back to the city that I love so much, and to be able to live here and share the wonderful stories that we have really means so much to me, to be able to continue to be here. And I am grateful for the program. And I just wanted to say to Mary Adele and to Dave and to Rosa and to her entire team, you're just making me feel like welcome and part of this community, and thank you for helping me get there, and Robert for holding my hand through all that paperwork. We're getting it done, and I'd just like to, present this award, have you come up and say thank you so much for all that you do.
Robert? Hi, I'm Mary Del Priest, and I'm really honored to represent Capital One tonight. And I'm just as honored to say that I am a Fifth Avenue Committee board member, and I worked for Neighbors Helping Neighbors 20 years ago, and it's been a long time, but things do come full circle. And in my time at Neighbors Helping Neighbors, I had the wisdom to hire Rosa Negron, and Rosa was the first homeownership counselor that we had, and over that time I've had the opportunity to work with Rosa, and she has an unbelievable commitment to her clients and the people of this community. And I am proud to say that she was the very first person that we hired when we started our community mortgage team. And she should be accepting this award, but she's very shy. So I am taking the liberty to embarrass her and and to really acknowledge, how lucky we are at Capital One to have someone in our community mortgage team that actually comes from the community and whose roots are in providing the kind of service that now Robert provides in such an excellent way. And to see that story come full circle is just amazing. I'd really like to congratulate the other honorees, and it is a very tough act to follow. So I will try my best. I want to also acknowledge the rest of our Capital One Community Mortgage and Community Development Team. We're here, and it's not an accident that we're here together. We're a company that doesn't work in silos, and we put all our resources together and try to figure out how to make a difference. And so I'm happy to be sharing this stage with all of you. We know as New Yorkers that we face an acute housing crisis. It's certainly true for rental housing. It is also true for homeownership. You look at the newspaper every week, and it seems that, prices are going higher and higher, and the average person just doesn't believe that they have an option to own a home and to have that security. And so when Robert mentioned the opportunity at Penn South, it's a limited equity co-op. It's not just a co-op, it's a limited equity co-op. But we saw that there was real opportunity there to be able to give homeowners who have saved money, whose credit is good, and who are just priced out of the market, an opportunity to buy and to create a home and have the kind of stability that you're so excited to have. And so we rolled up our sleeves and said, let's try to see how we make this work. And we worked with a team of folks in Plano, Texas, who figured out what a limited equity co-op is. And in the short time we've been working, we've been able to help 11 folks get mortgages, 6 of whom are low-income people. And so when you think about the average price of a house in New York, it's $1 million, it's $2 million. But these units are, the average price is $103,000. That's something that working people can afford. And we were happy to try to really craft a mortgage that works for that buyer and that unique property type. And so it's these kind of stories that give us a lot of, that make us very excited about making people's dreams come true. But more than anything else, it also gives us an opportunity to work with partners who we value. And so in that case, it's really Fifth Avenue Committee and Neighbors Helping Neighbors And Robert in particular, I think sometimes the Roberts and Rosas of the world are the unsung heroes. And you don't know me. You've never met me. But you know Rosa and you know Robert. And so I want to congratulate you all. Thank you. Okay, one more. Rosa, you be in the middle.
Okay, want to go on this side?
I'm the taller one. Should I take off my heels?
No, you can just be tall.
Stay this way. There we go. What you're saying is we're short. Thank you. Thank you. The spouses and friends are taking
Yeah, exactly.
Facebook it, I guess. Tweet it. Absolutely. I'm sorry. You know, it really is an incredible thing. As I said, co-ops are obviously exist more than just in New York City, but many, many financial institutions are scared of co-ops, much less the limited equity co-op. And so I just really want to, another round of applause, please, for Capital One and the community development and community mortgage folks for being brave to know that what they were helping to help people access was absolutely that golden ticket that Victoria said. Affordable home ownership in New York City is an incredible thing. I'm going to invite up Julio Peña, who is a new Neighbors Helping Neighbors board member, who's also the treasurer of the organization, but he's not new to NHN, and I'm hoping that as he closes things out and thanks all of you for being here and thanks all the sponsors, that he also shares a little bit of his story about how he got connected to NHN.
Hi everyone, I hope you're having a lovely evening. Like Michelle said, I was born and raised in Sunset Park. I was fortunate enough several years ago to participate in the First Time Home Buyers with Robert, and I purchased a co-op in Sunset Park. So I was really, excited and, given this opportunity to join the board. I run at the opportunity because I think what we need, particularly in this climate, is support, unity. We need to be there for each other, and I think Neighbors Helping Neighbors does that. They're organizing residents in the community to take a stand and to say that these injustices are unacceptable. And I think what Neighbors Helping Neighbors does is just amazing and really, really great work. So thank you all for being here tonight and supporting Neighbors Helping Neighbors. Thank you. I'd like to thank our honorees for their dedication and commitment to providing stable and affordable housing in New York City, especially little Samantha. I hope that you really do run for city council in 10 years because you will have my vote. I'd like to thank the staff of Neighbors Helping Neighbors for their tireless work and dedication to supporting residents of Sunset Park. Coming from a nonprofit background, I know that the work is difficult and challenging, and but it's incredibly rewarding, and thank you for your tireless effort. I'd like to thank all of our guests tonight for attending and for supporting the mission of Neighbors Helping Neighbors. It's because of people like you, thank you, please applause. It's because of people like you, that we're here tonight, and the work is getting done. I'd also like to thank Union Hall for providing this amazing space so we can, enjoy and get to know each other. And lastly, thank you everyone, and please stick around, network, talk to people, make some friends, make some new friends, and enjoy the evening. Thank you.